Hey everyone, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. My name is Tanya, and today I thought it'd be fun just to kind of take you along with me for a day, maybe two. We'll kind of just see how it goes. And we could read together and maybe run a few errands, just kind of hang out, chit chat, that sort of thing. So just for a little reading update, last night I finished Four Kingdoms by Maya Cortland. Still loving the series. This is the second book out of 3. And what I love about Maya Cortland is just there's good pacing. It stays pretty quick moving. It is a fantasy series, but it's a little bit different and it's not as heavy on the magic. I will say the second book was heavier on the magic than the first book, but most of the magic is related to like relics and things of that nature. So really fast-paced, great characters, good banter between the characters, and she's one of the few authors where I feel like, you know, her plot twist I just don't see coming. A lot of the time I kind of can work my way through what's going to happen as far as the plot, but she keeps you on your toes, and I really like that. And then I know the third book in the series comes out next month. I've already pre-ordered it. And I'll give a little more in-depth review of it when I do my June wrap-up. But finished that up last night, and then I started The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and this is a YA romantasy, and so far I'm really enjoying it. Holly Black's writing has been really descriptive, and in this series the Fae are more of the wicked Fae, so more of a, I guess, kind of traditional Fae where you know, they're not always the nicest. The Fae in this book, they're not necessarily like elves, but they're just, you know, different fairies. So very interesting. Our main character does get pulled underhill at a pretty early age, and then she's kind of forced to grow up with the Fae as they look down their nose at her as kind of an inferior species. So I didn't get very far into it. I'm only on page 48, but I am sure we will be reading more together today, and then I'll kind of give you an update. But first, I got some errands to run. I'm going to run to Target. We'll see if I make it anywhere else. And then I will check back in with you later. So just a quick little haul about what I got from Target. I picked up 2 of these like cozy socks because they were on clearance for $6. I'm going to keep some of them for myself, but then you will see some in a very future video. Then I got these because I sleep in these during the summer. All of these were on clearance for $4.50. This is my favorite poppy drink, raspberry rosé. I limit myself to 1 a week because they're pricey. And then 2 of these little charcuterie bites because I eat those at work for lunch. I got Luna some peanut butter chews and Octavia some cat treats. They had this oat milk creamer on sale, maple pecan, so I picked that up. Then I got this hydro flask because it was 50% off, so that made it where I was willing to pay the price. A box of tissues, some flushable wipes. I know not everyone agrees with these, but you know, I like them and I get them. I do get the plant-based ones though. And then this new flavor of sparkling water. And then I'm pretty sure I just threw the shorts I got on the floor, but you know, whatever. Luna. But I got these just plain black pull-on kind of linen feel shorts. just have a nicer casual pair for summer. I did not get any books because I bought so many last week, but yeah, that's kind of my little Target haul. So I'm about 50% of the way through The Cruel Prince now, so thought I would give you a little reading update. So far I'm really liking it. It's really easy to read, and I really like the descriptiveness of Holly Black's writing. It's interesting because you don't get a lot of, as I mentioned earlier, you don't get a lot of books anymore where the Fae are still wicked. I mean, sometimes they're aloof or mean, but not what I would call truly wicked. And in this book, at least for now, that is how most of them are. I also think it's interesting that so many of the Fae have animal traits, or, you know, they have the more classical fairy wings, but then some have different colored skin. The description of the Faes is really wide-ranging, and I think it's really well done, and it gives like another layer to the book. Now, I can't see at this point how Jude and Cardan are gonna go from the state of their current relationship to being in love with one another. That's one thing that about this series that I never was quite sure of before I even picked it up, is knowing that how the Fae are portrayed in this particular series, how it was going to be, how it was going to turn into a romance. But we will see. I mean, we have not gotten to that point yet. There's some little inklings, hints that Cardan's feelings for Jude may be a little different than maybe what she thinks his feelings are. But overall, I mean, Jude and her sister Taryn, who they're twins, are treated pretty terribly just for the fact of being humans. Humans are definitely looked down upon. In this version of Underhill, they are used, sometimes they're abused, they're glamored, they're bespelled. They just don't get any sort of respect. And, you know, that's obviously made it very hard for two humans to be raised there, especially because their adoptive, I guess you would say, father, because their real parents were murdered, he's a general for the current king, and he's raised them in kind of a gentrified kind of way. So it's not something that most of the Fae are used to seeing. And I think his name is Maddox. I think he has come to love them as daughters of his own. At least that's what I would like to believe, but that is definitely not the norm. And it's even more abnormal that Jude and her sister Taryn have been taking classes with basically the royal Faes and, you know, the upper class. And, you know, it's just not something that is typically done. And they're quite often subjected to, you know, taunts and teasing or even, you know, violent actions. So it's definitely been an interesting read. And like I said, I'm not quite sure how Cardan, who is one of the younger princes, is going to end up being Jude's love interest, but we shall see. So I am going to keep reading and check back in with you once I finished. Alright guys, so I did end up finishing The Cruel Prince yesterday. This was a pretty easy read. I was able to get it done in one day. So if you're on the lookout for kind of a shorter fantasy, this would be a good book for that. And then just a couple of thoughts since I finished it. Overall, I really did enjoy the book. Holly Black's writing is very descriptive, and her storytelling is really good as well. So you definitely get drawn into this world. Holly Black just does a really good job of drawing you in, helping you get to know the characters and their different layers. Now this book wasn't what I expected it to be, as far as I thought this was going to be more of a typical romantasy, but like in this first book there's some glimmerings of where the romance could come, but it is not heavy on the romance at all. It's virtually non-existent. So that wasn't really something that I was expecting, but I did appreciate it not just being this enemies to lover, but then we're instantly connected sort of thing. I like that the tension stayed throughout this whole book. Now we'll see what happens in the next books. But basically for the last half of this book, Jude ends up in a situation where it gives her a chance to get herself into a position of power, and things kind of unfold from there, and things are happening also with the succession of the crown. So there's some big kind of plot twist at the end of this book. Now I will say in the end, it's kind of a little bit predictable how the succession is going to play out, but how we got there was very innovative and very different, and I didn't see those plot twists coming. So it did end kind of how I expected it to. But that being said, we didn't get there in a fashion that was boring or predictable. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of the next book. I definitely will be continuing with the series. I feel like I was probably at a 3.75 to a 4.0 for this. There probably could have been just a little more world building in my opinion. But overall, great book. Pretty good pacing, would recommend. And then I did get a little further in the audiobook that I am listening to as well. Wasn't really the main focus of this particular reading vlog, but since I did listen to a little more of The Vicious Dream by Stasia Stark, I thought I would just mention that. I got in about 45 minutes or so yesterday, and I'm still really enjoying it. Stasia Stark does such a good job with banter, and if you were a fan of The Kingdom of Lies, then I would definitely pick this book up as well. But that's going to be it for today. So thank you for coming along with me as I read The Cruel Prince. Take care, keep reading, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.